What up, cage siders? If you ever doubted my street cred as a crazy cat person, that was the Newt and that was the Nessie exiting. I thought they were going to actually sit here and smell each other's asses the whole time, but they didn't. Sorry to let you down. What's going on, peoples? It's your boy Sean, like a house of fire, coming at you. Got my hairs did. Anybody was worried about that? I know probably many sleepless nights. Worried about that. Got my team bring it. Established 1972. I was also established in 1972. So me and Dwayne have that in common. I look a little bit better than he does, though. I'm gonna try to make the camera stop shaking. Anyway, that's not what you come here for. You come here for hot wrestling opinion stuff and my monotone voice. So I'm gonna give you both. It has been a crazy week in the world of professional wrestling and on the best damn pro wrestling site on the interwebs, CagesideSeats.com. So the big topic, though, Daniel Bryan is on hiatus again. Whether or not he should retire is a topic that we are very seriously discussing at Cage Side and other places, which sucks. Just sucks. So, I don't know if he should retire or not. I'll give you that right now. I know that's shocking that I'm on the fence about something. I just don't. I don't know what the deal is, and we don't. I mean, WWE is intentionally keeping the deal from us, it seems. So I can't say whether or not he should retire. I want him to do whatever is best for his long-term health and will make him happy. And if there's a medical, physical rehab, physical therapy path back to that includes wrestling, I mean, I would love to see him wrestle again. So I'm not going to say you should retire. I don't know what's going on with him. So I would say the signs it doesn't look good. I mean, he's relinquished 2 belts in 2 years due to injury. That's just, I can't. Makes me very sad. So, I don't know if he should retire. If he comes back, he needs to change. He needs to change stuff. And here's the thing. Here's what's been going on in the old Duder's head all week. Which also ties into, I've been following along very closely with the it's sort of my jam these days more than WWE, actually, honestly. I cover it for the site. I would probably be drifted even farther away than I currently am if it wasn't for this gig. I follow New Japan, I follow Ring of Honor, I follow the Indies, I follow Lucha Underground, I follow NXT a lot closer than I do the main roster. And it's been a big week for those companies, those promotions as well. New Japan and Ring of Honor have been doing their annual crossover shows. Which we haven't seen any of yet. We'll get to see Global Wars tonight on Internet pay-per-view, which should be jamming. But I see enough of the YouTube clips and the Vines, not YouTube clips, Vines, Instagram stuff, to see that's the style that I have grown to really enjoy from them, which is stiff and it's like nonstop. I mean, you watch a Young Bucks match and you got to keep your head on the fucking swivel because they're never going to stop. And so there's that, which is the school that Bryan came out of. Both those two companies. Well, no, he didn't work for New Japan, did he? Anyway, I think he did stuff with Noah. I tell you, I don't know. Bad internet journalist. Bad. Don't know for sure. But definitely Ring of Honor, obviously. And we're seeing with him, maybe with Sami Zayn, Hideo Itami, the former Kenta, who was definitely Noah. There. That style wears on you, and we don't see a lot of those guys. I mean, I guess maybe Christopher Daniels is an exception to that. Somebody that we see that's in his 40s, I think. Fallen Angel's in his 40s. Should probably do some research before I do one of these things. Just kidding. I won't do any research. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, the style that doesn't seem to help these guys last. I mean, we don't see the John Cena's, the Triple H's, the guys that keep going and don't show any signs of slowing down, or do slow down. I guess that's not fair to say. They do slow down, but they don't You don't need to retire at 35. Um, so that's, if Bryan were to come back, I've seen, I think there's a wrestling editor from SB Nation, I think his name's KJ Gould, who comments on cage side stuff a lot. And he has been saying for a while that he should seek out Johnny Saint, an English wrestler who changed his style so that he could keep working into his 60s and 70s. Something that's very interesting about what I think Lucha Underground is doing, and when Keith Harris and I spoke to Nigel McGuinness, look at me dropping names, what Nigel was hoping to do with his LA Fights promotion that he couldn't get funded, at least through GoFundMe and those I think it was a Kickstarter. One of the things that he was really hoping to do was to change the style up and change the presentation of the wrestling so that it wasn't as bad on guys. As Nigel's somebody who was also retired early, basically for a bunch of issues, a string of health issues. I mean, he's somebody who has an interest in that. So I think there's a way to not go 100 miles an hour in matches. There certainly is. It's not that I think. There certainly is a way to not go 100 miles an hour in matches, and and not take crazy bumps and stiff shots and do 6 missile drop kicks and suicide dives in every match. And I think as with most things, I think there's a role for all of us to play in this thing. Part of what's neato about pro wrestling is that it's, we have the smallest part in it as fans, but we have a part in it. So if we, guys go 1,000 miles an hour and knock themselves out in the ring because that's what they see us wanting, that's what they think gets them noticed for bigger contracts with WWE, with Ring of Honor, TNA. There has to be, the fans have to accept other forms of wrestling, I think, and reward them, because I think they can be really interesting. I mean, I'm not asking for a return to the 70s where it's just bear hugs for an hour in Madison Square Garden, but slow things down, a little more psychology, and that we don't just crap on all of that with like a boring chant as soon as it starts to happen. Now, that is not to say that the onus is all on the fans to just accept slower wrestling. It's on the performers to get better at other elements of it, to not just do 1,000 crazy spots in a match, but to work better on, integrating their character into the in-ring storytelling, to, learn other ways to be entertaining. I mean, look at a Kevin Owens, look at a Sasha Banks, back to NXT. Those are 2 performers that can make you want to watch a rest hold for 2 minutes because they're still doing character stuff within it, and it makes sense within the course of their arc and the story that their character's going through, but also the story of that match. I mean, there's stuff that can be done there that, getting innovative in different ways that will be good for their longevity and will allow us to enjoy watching them for longer. And of course, the biggest thing here is going to come down to the wrestling companies, though, and that is, is 5 years of Daniel Bryan and then trotting him out in GM roles and a tough enough coach, do you make more money doing that than you would off of 20 years of Daniel Bryan wrestling? Because, and there's a bunch of ways that they can do this. They could, some mix of any of these would be just fantastic. An off season, we've gone over that. Whether it's a full-blown, just give them like December and part of January off to get ready for the WrestleMania push when it's a slow time anyway. The Masked Man, I've talked about it on here before, has a plan where you can rotate guys. Hello, Nessie. You can rotate guys through, and this is sort of, Lucha Underground does a couple of these things really well. Excuse me, this is a little ridiculous. Have a story arc. The story arc's done. The guy rotates off of television for a while. Also, they're looking at doing seasons. I know, God willing, they will get a second season. I hope they do. I think the momentum is on their side. But it's a very expensive show to produce, and that's the kind of thing too. One of the main reasons. Well, the main reason I hope that show survives is because I enjoy the hell out of it. But it sets a good precedent. This is a way to do more cinematic type television, kind of like a prestige television show about wrestling. but it's also that it's it's all right if they take a month or two off, or if they film, that we won't crap on it just because it's not live. We'll still watch it even though we know they film 8 episodes in 2 days, and then we get those over a couple of months, which I think is that lets guys heal up, and it lets guys get some rest and get do some other work. Whatever way that we get to that is helpful, and I think this goes back to I hope at some point Nigel gets the money together to do his LA Fights idea in some form or fashion, because that's another one. I think it's similar to what Lucha Underground's doing, but I would like to see his take on it, because I don't think it would be nearly as much indigenous Mexican mysticism, which I love, but there's a place for everything in this big crazy melting pot we call pro wrestling. But the more companies that show that there's a different style, and that give fans exposure to them so that we can then accept them. I mean, like I said, that's what I mean. It's a symbiosis. They have to give us some options. We have to not crap on them when we get them. And guys have to see that they can make a living doing something other than what has gotten Bryan and Zayn and Kevin Owens and those guys their shot, which is crazy spots a million miles an hour. So I don't know if any of the, so I hope Daniel Bryan's not retiring. But if that's what he means to do, Godspeed, my friend. I call you my friend. I don't even know you. And yeah, let's think outside the box, pro wrestling people, and try to keep these guys healthy. I mean, that's my moral conflict about wrestling is a lot of things. It's presentation of race and gender and sexuality. But primarily, it's that these guys kill themselves for my entertainment, and I would rather that they don't. I think there's a way that they don't have to. So let's make that happen so that you don't have to, watch another retirement speech from a guy in his 30s. That is not something that I want to have to deal with it.